Hello and welcome back to another program brought to you from the heart of Vienna here in Austria. I'm Deborah Piroch and I'd like to thank you for joining me. Today we have a very special guest. He's a composer, he's a pianist, he plays the organ. Of course he's Catholic, and I'd like to welcome Dr. Werner Pelinka to our studio. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yes, you're welcome.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure.
It's my pleasure too.
You're a cradle Catholic. You were born Catholic at a time when in the 1950s, when many more people were Catholic than today. And you said, unlike a lot of teenage boys, you actually stayed Catholic.
Yes, I had the mercy to have a Catholic mother who taught us praying and who taught us to go to Sunday Mass.
Mm-hmm.
And I also had good priests and
it's very
catechetes.
Yeah.
Is it catechet? Yeah.
Catechesis.
Catechesis at school, mm-hmm. Yes. And during my teenager years, I of course looked left and right and compared other religions and so, but only because I was very interested to find the truth and so, yes. And so I always found that it is true what Mother had given me into the cradle.
Was right.
Yes, she was right, and I up to now I'm very thankful
mm-hmm.
that I have found Jesus, the truth and life.
The whole
says,
truth.
Yeah,
Yes,
I'm Weg, die Wahrheit und das Leben. Also
the way to
truth and life. That I had found him so early, and well, that's
you had the Catholic
the
framework.
Deepest reason for my being content.
Yes. And your wife is Catholic as well?
Yes, she is coming from Switzerland and was originally not Catholic, but
she's a convert.
She was baptized and she converted to Catholic church a few years after we met, and we met in Vienna Woods. We
met in the Viennese woods.
Yes, because
which is a place where you could go walking and things. Yeah.
Yeah, we had a garden there. So my parents and her mother had a garden there, so we met so early. I was 14 and she was 12 years.
Oh my gosh, you were childhood sweethearts.
Always during summer vacation, summer holidays, when she came from Switzerland to Vienna, I was very fond to meet her again, and
mm-hmm,
so
mm-hmm.
we could play together and we could discuss, and our discussions were very prosper.
Very hopeful, yeah. Very hopeful, yeah.
And one day she converted to Catholic Church, and this was the beginning of our praying together and our being together in Catholic,
in a deeper sense and in a Catholic sense.
Way, yes.
Yeah. Oh, that's a beautiful story. You have two daughters. Tell me what their names are and how old they are.
Yes, our first daughter is Rafaela.
After Saint Raphael. It's a beautiful name.
Yes, and the second daughter is Grazia Maria.
And I just want to stress in English that would be like
Grace Mary.
Grace Mary, yes.
Yes. And
these aren't common names, so.
Yes, but we find that the names fit to both of them very well.
How old are they?
Well, our first daughter was born 1977,
okay.
And she has also two sons.
So your
we
grandfather.
are grandfathers,
as
grandparents in the meantime, and our second daughter is born 1988, mm-hmm. 11 years after our first daughter, and she's single and
she's autistic
of course,
as well.
She's autistic. Yes.
Yeah. So you have a beautiful Catholic family life, and I want to talk to you a little bit about the challenges you've had as an autistic parent. because many people have children who have a handicap in one way or the other. And of course, autism, as you just mentioned, has a very broad scale. You can be mildly autistic or severely autistic. And how old was she when you and your wife realized she had some problems in this regard?
During her pregnant period,
already,
it was very different because the baby didn't move as she knew from the first daughter, and then from the very beginning it was different. It was different. We didn't know exactly what it would be.
But a mother knows something wasn't right.
But it was different, and at the age of 5 years, she couldn't speak.
She
fluently.
Still couldn't speak. Usually children speak around age, well, maybe 2, 3, you know.
Yes,
so.
but she began to speak, but only words, and this remained up to 5 years old.
So no sentences.
Yeah, and so we looked around to help her, and we found the Tomatis method. And
yeah, and this is named after the
yes.
specialist, ear, nose,
Alfred
and throat.
Tomatis, yes, this
yeah,
was
ear, nose,
an ear
and throat
doctor.
specialist, who actually, he's deceased now, but he specialized in research of hearing difficulties of pilots and airline employees, and he used music, things like Mozart and Gregorian chant, to stimulate hearing and listening musculature. And I have to explain that because that's not, I'd never heard of that before, and I don't think that's commonly known. So this Tomatis method you found out about, and
yes.
And it's been used also to help autistic children apparently. So tell me a little bit about how it helped your daughter.
We started Tomatis therapy in 1992 or 1993 when she was 5 years old, and within 1 year she could speak fluently.
That's
and
amazing.
This was,
did you stay with her in Switzerland, or how did that work?
Well, we had
you had to move to Switzerland?
a difficult job. We had to travel to Switzerland and back, and this month to month, every month for at least 1 week or 2 weeks. And it was very expensive, and it was not easy, but we did it to help our daughter. And because it was so
intense,
and it was so a good result, what we could see. We went to Paris to Dr. Tomatis himself.
Really?
And
okay.
I was fascinated by him as a person, and I was fascinated. Excuse me?
What was he like?
Well, he was very, very
focused?
Yeah, he was very fascinating because he could explain the things of our daughter, the problems, when he saw the test. In Paris, I combined the therapy of our daughter with studying the Tomatis therapy myself, because I was not only fascinated by Dr. Tomatis as a person, but also by the method itself. This method uses, as you said before, Mozart music and Gregorian chant.
And of course, your background is in music, so that...
Yes, and so it was so fascinating for me. And as an Austrian, I thought it should be very important to bring Mozart
back to Vienna.
as a help of therapy back to Vienna.
Yes.
And now there exist about 8 Tomatis institutes in Austria.
Oh, okay.
And so it was a good start to do this. And
now you're the head of one of these institutes yourself. So
yes, I could understand my composing and my playing the piano and doing music as a whole. I could understand it much better because all the things that happen in the brain and the influence of
music,
music to the brain and to the body and so was very, very important for me.
So obviously this is very good music that Dr. Tomatis was using, Gregorian chant, Mozart. What happens if you start playing rock music? Does it screw with your brain?
This confuses more.
Yeah.
It
has to be beautiful music, yes.
Yes, it could also be Baroque music. So he had also good success.
Something like Haydn or
with
something
Vivaldi
would be fine too.
And so it's clear. But why Mozart? Also Dr. Tomatis, he tried his therapy with different music, and the best success was achieved with these
Mozart.
pieces of Mozart. And then the other pieces, which also were good but not so good, he gave away.
If Mozart only knew what he was writing, right?
Yes, Mozart
was clever.
Very genius.
Yeah. He was a genius. We're gonna come back to your daughter in a minute, but I wanted to ask you about your marriage as well. You and your wife have already celebrated your silver wedding anniversary. Congratulations! You've been married many years, and you said, luckily, you sound like a husband who remembers the anniversary with your wife. My dad always pretended to forget the day that he got married. He was very bad, but you remembered it, and you actually had a special ceremony in Lower Austria at a place called Sonntagsberg, or Sunday Mountain, which doesn't make much sense in English. Yes. But tell me about that ceremony and why you did it.
Yes, we were looking for a special, beautiful church and surrounding for our silver wedding. And when we
came, it's a Baroque church.
It's a Baroque church. It's a very famous Wallfahrtskirche, similar to Mariazell. Mariazell is the most famous Wallfahrtskirche in Austria. But the second very important in Lower Austria is Sonntagberg. Yes, and this church is wonderful. Is a wonderful church and is situated on a mountain on the Sonntagberg, and you have a wonderful view on the area around.
It sounds beautiful, yeah.
And there's also a beautiful Bildungshaus.
Educational
Catholic
building, Catholic.
Building,
Catholic.
Building, yes, yeah. And so we thought when we made a retreat there, yes, we made a retreat in year 2000, yes.
Oh, beautiful.
And then we thought this would be our favorite place for the silver wedding.
Why is there a shrine there? Why do so many pilgrims go there? What's the Catholic basis of that?
The shrine of Sonntagberg is famous for a very helpful situation during the invasion of the Turks.
And they were able to keep the Turks back at that point, and that became a border for Austria. Are Catholics still aware, and do Catholics still go there to celebrate that? They do.
Yes.
Yes.
And we had a wonderful silver wedding with much music there. And Herr Doppelhoff from the Catholic Bildungshaus.
Yeah, from the educational part of that.
He asked us afterwards if we couldn't start a geistliche Musikwoche.
Which we would translate, which is basically would be a combination spiritual music and
musical week.
Yes. Which basically combined Mass with music. So people would go to Mass. We had another guest who was talking about Mass and how they would have music and concerts right after the Mass too.
That was the
idea. Now,
of
course, Austria is so rich in music, I guess it makes sense. But it never occurred to me that you would pair Mass with these wonderful concerts. So you organized these spiritual concerts for 7 years.
Yes, from 2002 up to 2008 or 9. It was a very special situation to have the praying and Catholic people together from all parts of Austria, and then to sing together and to try to play together.
That's
different things. Also we played chamber music, and we sang Gregorian chant, and we sang also modern
compositions.
Modern compositions, yes, also my compositions, and then the praising songs, the modern praising songs.
Yeah, songs of praise and worship, we say. Yeah.
And so this wide range of different music was special, interesting thing for me, because once I remember it was a final mass of such a week. We combined during this Holy Mass the praising songs, the modern praising songs, we combined it with Gregorian chant, and we combined it with music by Mozart or Schubert, and so. And
what a combination!
Yes, and it made sense, because, for instance, at the beginning, at the end, there were the praising songs, yes, and then it did not disturb. It was no.
It was like a framework.
It was no break. Yeah, it was no break to continue with classical music. And then at the main parts of the Holy Mass, also the
Eucharistic, the transubstantiation,
Sanctus, and so Sanctus Agnus Dei, we used Gregorian chant.
Yes. Beautiful.
And then Communio, for instance, it was Schubert, yes?
And then Schubert for communion,
for instance, yes? And afterwards, modern praising song. Again.
Why aren't you still doing this? I want to come.
Yes, everything has its time. It's in the book of Kohelet.
It's interesting because Pope Pius X, I believe it was talking about, well, this was in his time, not now, but apparently some musicians got so excited that they would do almost operatic performances and things in Mass. And instead of your weeks where everything complemented each other, he had to warn people that the music wasn't supposed to take away from the Mass, it was supposed to add to the Mass. And of course there's this saying that he who sings praises God twice. So in a sense you were doing
that. This is the famous quotation of Augustinus, no?
St. Augustine, St. Augustine, rather.
But why was I so happy to combine the different styles during Holy Mass? Because I suffer from the fact that there are the modern praise singers, and many of them don't like Gregorian chant, for instance, not all of them, but some of them say, oh, I don't like Gregorian chant. And there are, for instance, the traditional Gregorian chant fans, and they say, oh, no, the modern singing, and so it's no good, and so. And why? It's this is expression of my Catholic belief, and this also, and it's only important corde credere, ore canere. Yes, this is a
Latin phrase.
This is a Latin sentence. This was edited in the Concil von Carthago. Yes.
Okay.
Also man muss, you have
Council of Carthage, I guess it would be.
Also corde credere, you have to believe in your heart, and you have to sing it with your mouth. So
that's beautiful. That's absolutely beautiful. You still teach at the Conservatory of Vienna, which is where you actually studied. You teach music theory, I believe, and piano. And do you teach anything else, or?
It's culture history at the Conservatory Private University, and formal music structure and analysis. Yes, this is very interesting to instruct the students of different.
So they learn how to compose. Yes.
Yes, how to compose, and I do it with much pleasure. Yes.
That's wonderful. I know you were telling me before this interview began, you were mentioning your autistic daughter and how she has profited from the beauty of music in becoming more functional and more able. Well, you said she's not a child prodigy, but she's very good at piano.
Yes, she likes it very much to play the piano, especially together with me four-hand piano pieces, no difficult pieces, but easy pieces, and she plays it
she's very focused,
very musically, and she likes it, and she likes also to play it in concert. So we did it very often to play in different occasions with
That's
audience,
exciting.
and so she is not shy, and so she likes to play, and then afterwards she is very proud of having done it. And so we also recorded a CD together, and she liked it very much to present it
in a
to
real
our
music
relatives
studio.
then a
Yes,
Christmas gift. Yes.
Oh, how beautiful!
Yes.
Yeah, how beautiful. It's great that God creates these beautiful things for us on earth, like music, and they're really just pathways to Him. And in the United States, at least, I imagine it exists in Europe as well. There are different kinds of therapy, like music therapy, different from your tomatis method, but music therapy, art therapy, and so on, that are also used to help people with different conditions. Everything from eating disorders to, I imagine, autistic children as well.
Yes,
yeah.
I'm convinced that the combination of Catholic belief and good music is very
There's no
important.
substitute for that. Yeah, it's very important.
It's a very good mixture. Yes.
It's a very good mixture.
I like it very much.
I can't imagine ending on a better note than that. I'm going to thank you for joining us, Dr. Werner Pelinka.
You're welcome.
It's been a pleasure talking
to
to you about your Catholic faith and your beautiful family, and thank you for joining us today.
All the best to you.
Thank you so much. And I'd like to thank you too, all our viewers and listeners, for joining us for another episode of this program, straight to you from Austria in the heart of Europe. Bye-bye. God bless.